Hi, I'm Kat from All Belong at Kat's Big Career Poly World. Today I'm going to be giving you 4 tips for coming out to your family as polyamorous. Hi friends, today we're going to be talking about coming out as polyamorous to your family. Let me preface this by saying I'll be doing a future video about coming out to your children. For the purposes of this video, I'm talking about coming out to the adults in your family. Coming out can be scary and difficult, and I've got a few tips from my own coming out as well as from helping other people come out. So the first tip I'm going to give you about coming out to your family as polyamorous is to assume goodwill. And I like to mention that first because I find it so important. For many of us, when we are coming out, we are a little bit on the defense. Well, we want our partners and our family's approval. Coming out is such a personal process that we're bound to be on the defense a little. And so we sometimes look for perceived slights. And this is where I'm saying, assume goodwill. Assume goodwill. Assume that your family wants what's best for you and that they want to understand. In the LGBTQ plus community, there is something called the CAS model of coming out. And while it might be a little bit outdated, it outlines the general 6 steps a person is thought to have to go through when they come out as gay. I kind of feel that anybody who has to come out as anything sort of goes through this process. The first 2 steps are comparison and confusion, where you're kind of comparing yourself to others and know that you're somehow different. After that, then the 3rd and 4th steps are tolerance and acceptance. That's kind of when you come to terms with your own identity and take it on as your own. And then finally, the 5th and 6th steps are pride and synthesis, where you become proud of your identity and then you synthesize that identity with all of your other intersecting identities. When a person comes out, we have generally taken some of these steps. We are at least partway through this process. However, the person that we are coming out to also has a similar process. They need time to compare, have some confusion, tolerate, accept, etc. So while we may be at step 4 or 5, the person you're coming out to may be all the way back at step 1. They may have a lot of questions. They may seem ignorant. Again, go into the conversation assuming goodwill and assuming that your loved one wants what's best for you and wants to understand you. My second tip is don't try to change anybody's beliefs. Sometimes when we're coming out in our excitement to share our authentic selves, we sound like we're preaching. And maybe sometimes we even are a little bit. I know for me, polyamory makes so much sense that it can be hard for me to remember not to try to convince people that polyamory is the best way. Polyamory is the best way for me, but when I encounter somebody who has strong opposition, I try not to spend time changing their minds or trying to change their religious beliefs. I don't need everybody to be polyamorous or even for everyone to fully understand it. It's not for everyone. What I do want is for people to respect me and my partners. I want people to be educated to other relationship options and relationship styles. I want people to understand that polyamory isn't about cheating or about not being able to make commitments. I want people to look at me and see a human being who just may live and love differently than they do. So my goal is to live my authentic life with passion and set a good example, and be ready to talk when they're ready. So I try to focus on the positives instead. After explaining what polyamory is, if necessary, I keep it very focused on me. I keep talking about how polyamory works for me and how it makes me feel and what benefits I feel it brings to my life. I talk about love and the heart's capacity to love. People are more likely to listen to you and to actually hear you if you are talking about your own personal journey and personal feelings. It's very difficult to argue with someone's own experiences. I've found that sometimes just saying something simple like, "Oh, I used to feel that way too," can go a long way towards helping somebody come around. So, don't try to change anybody's beliefs. Instead, focus on the positive pieces. So my third tip for you is to be prepared. The person you come out to as polyamorous may have never knowingly met somebody who identifies as polyamorous before, so they may have a lot of questions. I've found that most people have heard of polyamory and have some idea what it is, but most of the time, at least some of those ideas are based off of things like trashy daytime talk shows. And so be prepared for your person to have a lot of questions. I would say be prepared with resources, whether it's websites or podcasts or books or other media, films, whatever you think might work for that person to help them understand polyamory more and answer more questions for them is going to be helpful to them. I would also suggest that you're prepared for how the person might react. Of course, we hope that they're going to be very positive and supportive, but we all know that that is not always the case. So be prepared for a wide range of reactions. And lastly, the best way to be prepared, I think, is to have a support system in place. Especially if you feel that this conversation could go poorly, make sure you have someone who is waiting for your phone call or waiting for you at home who can give you a hug or some comfort, or, on the other hand, congratulate you for how well the conversation went. So be prepared for lots of possibilities. The fourth and final tip I have for you today is to gently but firmly set boundaries if you need to. People are going to have a lot of questions, and I always encourage answering questions when you have the time and energy to do so. You are not obligated to answer every polyamorous question that anybody ever has to answer you, no matter what's going on in your life. I've made a boundary that I only answer respectful questions, and I do so when I have the time, energy, and resources to take care of that. It is totally okay to say, that was not a respectful question, and I'm not going to answer that. It's also perfectly acceptable to say, hey, I really don't have time to talk right now, but here are some resources. Or, now's not a good time, but I'd be happy to try to find a time that would work for both of us. So that's one way that you might have to set a boundary. Another situation you may find yourself in where you need to gently but firmly set boundaries is when it comes to listening to your loved one's opinions about your life. I have a rule that works for me pretty well, and it is that I will listen to anyone's concerns or opinions one time. If there's a concern that I can answer and feel comfortable doing so, I will. But otherwise, I will listen to your concern and your opinion one time. I've been known after that to say, I really value your opinions, but I've heard you, I don't need to hear them again. That's a boundary that you may need to set. If people don't respect that, you may need to take a break. I've been really lucky that I haven't had to do that much. I've had great family support. However, if you come across a family member who can't respect you, then you may need to say something like, I'm sorry, I really value having you in my life, but I can't be around people who don't respect me, and if you're not going to respect me, then I can't spend time with you. This may happen, but boundaries help, and framing it in a way that makes it a choice for the other person. I want to spend time with you, but you have to respect me in order to do so, can go a long way towards helping. So that's another type of boundary that you may need to set. Just remember that I'm worth it, and so are you. So those are my 4 tips for coming out to your family as polyamorous. I hope you found this video informative and enjoyable. If you did, please click that thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. I'd love to hear from you if you have other tips and tricks for coming out to your family, or if you have any other questions, please drop them in the comments below.